Di ako artist at di ko alam kung paano mag-appreciate ng art. Some of you may have this dilemma in mind. However, for others, they have a glimpse of what art means to them because they may be skillful in some techniques already. Pero naranasan mo na ba magkaroon ng curiosity kung paano at saan magsisimula sa pag-aaral ng art? Sa panahon ng Instagram at Facebook, napakadaling makakita ng art na ginawa, ginaya, or ginamit ulit para sa isang particular na layunin or halaga. Siguro marami sa inyo ang nag-click ng like or love button or any reaction sa isang graphic post na sa tingin ninyo ay nakaka-relate. Maraming tutorials at techniques para sa painting, calligraphy, watercolor at iba pa sa YouTube. At maraming mga artist ang nahasa sa iba't ibang art techniques dahil sa kanila. They have been exposed to a wide range of art techniques because of them. Art and information is now within our reach. Ang sining at impormasyon ay, abot kamay na ngayon. Maraming sources na pwedeng pag-aralan. Ang downside ng mabilis na impormasyon na ito ay ang pagkalat nito. Hindi natin alam kung ano ang dapat unahin at hindi tayo sigurado kung tama ang impormasyon na natatanggap natin. Art appreciation, on the other hand, is a discipline offered in an academic setting, but probably less likely to be consumed here in this country. However, it has its that one strength, its premise being in the academe. Upang masukpo ang ating kadalasan na ambivalence na nararamdaman tungkol sa art or sining, mag-aral at pag-uusapan natin ito mula sa kung saan sa tingin ko ay isang magandang simula para sa iyo. Sa iyo mismo. The beginning of this chapter is about understanding the functions of art in relation to your context, your needs and your longings as a person in the context of the millennial age. The rest progresses from this starting point. Ang iba pang topics ay susunod na mula sa puntong ito. It all starts with you. We have a textbook, and this is the textbook. It's Art Appreciation. It's by Albert Napoleon, J. Roldan, and Chloe Deliosa with the coordinator Greg Tabios Pawilen. So, eto siya. But hindi ka Wait lang. Unblur please, unblur. Ayun. Okay. So, let's start our first unit. The first lesson is, what is art to me? And understanding how art can meet some human needs. The objectives of this lesson is to understand the role of art as a tool to aid human limitations, relate art to yourself, to your context, experiences, and longings as a person, and to challenge one's critical thinking skills through creative ways of confronting life's problem, and inculcate values and humanistic attitude towards art. So nag-agree ba kayo sa assumption na ang generation ngayon ay tinatawag natin na anxious generation? When you talk to those who were born during the age of baby boomers, siguro mga 50, 60 na sila, most of them would probably describe a life formed out of simple choices to make, Go to school, study, work, get married. However, the times today pose a stark contrast to such simplicity. We have never been so detached from the primary values of our humanity. We are often distracted by illusions and ideal lives that the internet age suggests. Makita natin sa internet para bang, yun ang totoong buhay, but in reality, it's really not, Hence, in this lesson, you will learn to relearn the value of art in our lives, even if you are not an artist. Hopefully, you will understand that the arts are actually meant to aid some human limitations. that we have often ignored or set aside because so many distractions in our generation today. May lumabas lang na video, distracted na tayo. May issue, oh, distracted na tayo. Grabe. And according to the book, here are some proposed functions of art in our lives but are not supposed to limit other presumed ideas. Ito lang yung mga i-state natin at pag-aaralan natin. There is definitely more. But considering the scope and limit of our time, we will focus on the following. Number one, beauty. Number two, happiness and hope. Number three, identity and understanding oneself. Number four, grief and healing. Number five, remembering and mark making. Number six, raising awareness. And number seven is culture and togetherness. This is inspired as well by the book Art as Therapy by Alain de Botton. This version of the seven functions of art are common human experiences, after which I believe we as Filipinos can mostly adhere to. Hence, by taking off from these ideas, we can all relate to the role of art through our shared humanity. Okay, to elaborate with the functions of art, let's start with beauty. Why do you think some people hang artworks on their wall? What is the most common answer? The connotation of beauty is a debatable topic. Pwede natin mapag-usapan kung anong pretty, anong hindi, anong aesthetic or hindi. And that is the value of art. One of the innate qualities that pretty art can give is that it makes our dull, lifeless walls come to life. Yung tipong napapaganda niya ang surroundings natin. The contrast of having something alive and dynamic to look at on something ordinary and common such as walls, tulad ng art ko dyan. Let us say na blanco yung wall and you want to add something to it, then you just add art to it. Though we have different notions of beauty, still, it is a common denominator when we are talking about appreciating forms of art. Beauty makes sense to most of us. Maraming tayong mapaghuhugutan na masasabi nating maganda. Yes. Iba yung maganda sa kanya, iba yung maganda sa kanya. Pero there is this denominator that it makes you feel, inspired, beautiful. Masasabi natin yan. So that is the first function of art for beauty. Next is happiness and hope. There is something about art that mirrors the soul of those willing to confront it. In a societal tone, artworks tend to echo the hopes and anxieties of an age. Mirror nga, di ba? Nire-reflect niya kung anong nararamdaman ng common na tao. Or it's the common feeling of the people in that particular generation. There's a whole range of properties of art why it gives us a sense of joy and hope to its audience. So, ito yung mga example. Paano siya nakakapagbigay ng happiness at saka hope ng art. Una, pag naglagay ka ng paintings sa mga daunting na environment, mga nakakalungkot na environments such as hospitals, next na nakakapagbigay ng happiness is the experience itself and the process of creating art itself. Next is the bliss of looking at a piece of imagery, evoking a happy memory. For example, meron kang naalala pag nakikita mo tong art na ito. Kunwari, ginawa mo tong art na to, kasama mo yung jowa mo nun, or binigyan mo sa kanya, or something like that. Anything that makes you remember something that is prone to bring you happiness and hope. Next is the direct words from typography and graphic messages that are so relatable as if the author has read your mind and feelings. Yung mga quotes na yan, that is also art. Poetry, Meron tayong mga sinishare na para bang, oy, relate ako dyan. So that is art. It made you happy. It gave you hope. And lastly, identifying oneself with the properties of an artwork as a homage to something. For example, works addressing diaspora, displacement, or ibang mga social issues like LGBT or freedom, kalayaan, ganyan. So, it gives you hope pag na-experience mo yung art na iyon. Okay, next is identity and understanding the self. Yung generation ngayon, tinatawag nila na me generation, is also sometimes tagged, sabi ko nga kanina, as the anxious generation. Ang daming social issues na nagre-reflect dito. Struggle for identity, gender issues, disconnectedness brought by social media, regionalism, and even mental health issues. Sa sobrang pagka-addict natin sa social media is akala natin yung mga pinopost nila doon is normal. Guys, mga pinopost nila sa social media kung ano yung maganda or kung ano yung nakakagulat or kung ano yung nakaka-clout. Minsan nga magpo-post yung ibang mga tao para lang sumikat, di ba? Now, how do you think art can be a tool to address such challenges? Do you agree that we need something outside of us and tangible enough to define what we are feeling and struggling against? Ibig sabihin nun, minsan nakikita natin yung sarili natin sa isang artwork. Parang, oy, that is so me, mga ganyan tayo. Sometimes we see ourselves in the process. Art can serve as a powerful tool to help us communicate and relay our confusion. Maski nga yung mga psychological intervention, mga therapies, ganyan, ginagamit yung art in processing some sensitive experiences. So that is one function of art as well, identity and understanding the self. Next is grief and healing. Many of the most poignant and humanistic products of art were made after World War II. 20th century, mostly expressing human suffering and darkness in its themes. Artists such as Rachel Whiteread talked about this haunting remembrance of Holocaust victims in her work Ghost Library. Here, she used an experiential type of artistic expression, exploring the themes of place and memory in an architectural setting. Yung art is ginagamit niya para humilom yung sakit na dala ng World War II. And in our personal context as well, sometimes may mga art din o even literature, even music, no? Na pinapakinggan natin para tayo ay maka-move on sa isang feeling na napakasakit and it heals us in our soul. Throughout the years, artists have interpreted these shared human experiences in different ways, which also help us process our grief. Some may use art as a tool to express pain and process it in therapy. Pero nonetheless, it plays an important role in making grieving somehow dignified. Okay lang na umiyak, okay lang na masaktan, at okay lang mag-move on. Okay, next, remembering and mark making. Paggawa ng marka sa mundo. How do you think art help us remember? How have artists shaped our landscape? The monument of Rizal in Luneta Park is an example of a type of art that helps us remember. Without the tangible characteristic of art, we will not be able to sustain our nationalistic values well enough. Meron tayong mga pictures, mga films and paintings that depict heroism and nationalism. Try to look up these artists. Angel of the North by British sculptor Anthony Gormley and Anish Kapoor's Cloud Gate in Chicago. Gormley's work has been considered as the largest sculpture in the world and one of the most popular. The humongous figure of a person na merong airplane-like wings is situated in Gateshead, England, and was commissioned to become an identifying landmark of the region. On the other hand, Kapoor had this humongous bean-shaped metallic sculpture placed that certainly builds a sense of mark and identity to that place where the traffic of pedestrians is usually heavy. So para maalala natin ang mga bayani noon dito sa ating bansa, ang daming ganun, no? Next function of art is raising awareness. Have you seen large mga sculptures, mga effigies, ganyan? Yung mga sinusunog nila na paper maches pag may mga rally sa Manila. Some art can be categorized as activist art, but not all are as loud and garish. Some are subtle paintings which might use satire. Ibig sabihin, ginagawa nilang katuwaan ng isang sitwasyon. And in the Philippines, many socially concerned artists have emerged in the age of modernism, portraying politicians and the government systems in their most hateful actions. A more subtle type of inducing awareness can be observed in architecture such as the stained glass windows of Gothic churches at pati yung kanilang illuminated manuscripts. Such is also the case of our local churches with large domes at the altar and a part of huge stained glass windows. Raising awareness can be activism, it can be the church itself. If you want to raise awareness about social issues or about religion, then art is one way to go. And lastly, culture and togetherness. Forms of art are often localized so that they bring identity to certain regions. Sa Ilocos, Abel, di ba? This is very evident here in the Philippines, which is geographically separated by thousands of islands. We are very regionalized. In a way, if there is a sense of redemption for past weakness of Philippines when the Spaniards strategized the divide and conquer method, ito yung naging epekto niya. Nagkaroon tayo ng kanya-kanyang art, kanya-kanyang expression. Do you remember the national costume of Miss Universe 2019? No? We see how Catriona Gray wore the whole Philippines, symbolically uniting us through her Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao inspired national costume. Indeed, it is an attempt to represent our unity and national identity as Filipinos. What do you think of the costume? So, those are the 7 functions of art that we are covering, no? And sometimes you can relate to one or two. You can use it for 1, 2, 3, or 4 or more, and you realize na yung pala talaga ang silbi ng art. So, whatever course you are in, there is a certain need for us to understand and appreciate art. Ito ay pinaghirapan, ito ay merong layunin, at ito ay nagtatangkang pukawin ang ating mga damdamin. And that is art. Hope you appreciate it.